All right, factoring review. Factoring is going to be a very important part of this unit, so we need to brush up on our skills. So, basic factoring. The first thing you want to look at is this symbol right here, okay? And let's step back a second. You don't have to write this down. When we multiply two binomials, all right, and we double distribute or FOIL, whatever, that gives us x squared. This gives us 5x. This gives us 2x. And these two numbers here, very importantly, give me positive 10. Okay? That's why this is important. If this was x minus 2 and x minus 5, would have been very similar, except in the middle, we would have gotten minus 5x, minus 2x, but notice, still positive 10, because negative times negative is positive, all right? So, coming back to that concept, if this symbol here is positive, that means both of your numbers are the same sign. They're either positive or negative. We then look here, and whatever sign that is, that's the sign in the parentheses. All right? So what we're doing is we're looking for two numbers that when we multiply them, like I just showed you, are going to give us 56. And they're going to combine to a negative 15. And this is just going to be x and x. So we need to think of the numbers that multiply to give us 56. All right? And if you're not good at your times tables, then you just use a calculator and start playing with numbers and start dividing by 2, dividing by 3 and 4 and 5 and so forth. And eventually, eventually you'll get to 7 and 8. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 plus 8 is 15. And since it's a negative 15 we need, then we're going to do that. All right? If the 15 in the middle was positive, they would just both be positive. Okay. Now, if this symbol right here is negative, the only way to get a negative number in that multiplication I just showed you is if one of the numbers is positive and one of the numbers is negative. This is going to tell me that I want the larger of the two numbers to be negative because I want leftover negatives when I combine them. So again, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 30 that differ by 13. All right? And that's going to be 15 and 2. 15 times 2 is 30. 15 minus 2 is 13. And 2 minus 15 is negative 13. And that's what we want. We want the bigger number to have the sign that's right here. Now again, if this was positive 13 in the middle, then we would have had plus 15 and minus 2. All right, same concept here. We want two numbers that multiply to give me 60. All right, the larger number needs to be negative. And they need to differ by 17. All right, so if you need to write these down, you use a calculator or write them down. You got 2 times 30. You've got 3 times 10. 4 times 15. 6 and 10. I skipped right over 5 and 12. And hopefully you caught my mistake. 6 times 10 and 3 times 10 can't both be there. I meant 3 times 20. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, now, actually I wrote these side by side. It works out well. I want you to see something really important. Both these numbers. I can get 17 with both of those. Okay? 12 plus 5 is 17, and 20 minus 3 is 17. We want the one that differs. Okay? So you gotta be careful here. A lot of people would put 5 and 12 because, oh, that makes 60. But let's say we did that, okay? 5 and 12. Well, then you play with it. And if you put both positives, that would give me positive 17 in the middle, and that's not what we have. Also, not to mention, 5 times 12 is positive 16. We need a negative, all right? And so if we made one of these negative, that would give me negative 60, but then 12 minus 5 is 7. And if we did 5 minus 12, that would be negative 7. So that does not give me the right numbers, okay? So 5 and 12 are not our numbers if, in this situation, we have to get a negative 60 and a negative 17. Now, once again, if that was a positive 60, our numbers would be 5 and 12. But in this case, our numbers are 3 and 20. And since we want more negatives, this is negative, that's positive. And if it helps you, you can put a little 3 here and a little negative 20 here and see that you get negative 17. Okay, so you got to pay close attention. Sometimes two different sets of numbers will work under various circumstances. Over here, we want two numbers that multiply to give me 15 that add to 16. So 1 times 15, 3 times 5, we already have it. Boom, right there. So that's x and x, 15 and 1, and since this is positive, they're both positive. All right, factoring with a coefficient. Now, in this case, if they were all even, we could factor out 2, but they're not. Okay, so we need to deal with this situation. So that means we're going to have 2x and 1x. Now, we still need two numbers that are multiplying to give me 18 that add to 13, but the 2 is going to be a factor in that now. So this is where we just have to kind of guess and check. All right? So when we guess and check, we just start playing with numbers. All right? And let's say 9 and 2. So we put the 9 here and the 2 here. And that's where these little smiley faces come in handy, okay? Because that's 9 and that's 4. Well, I just happen to guess right off the bat, okay? Because 9 plus 4 is 13. And I want them both to be plus. But let me show you what could have happened. Let's say I have my 2x, but I put the 2 here, and I put the 9 here, okay? Well, that still gives me 18. That still gives me 2x squared, but this gives me 2. This gives me 18. 18 plus 2 is 20, not what I want. Maybe I wasn't so lucky and I started off with 6 and 3. Well, if I put 6 here and 3 here, that would give me 6. That would give me 6, and that would give me 12. Again, close, but not 13. So I got lucky and tried the right numbers the first time, but it doesn't always work that way. And sometimes you do have to just guess and check. Now I will show a different method on how to do this, but let's just focus on this for right now. All right, this complicates a little bit more because now I have a number out here, a little larger, okay, and number here. So what we're going to have to do now is worry about the factors of 1 and 6, which are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3, and 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. And we have to figure out which combination of these numbers are going to multiply to give me 24 and also differ by 7 in the middle. So we just have to play with it. Now, not always, but often the extreme numbers don't work, usually, not every time, but that means I would suggest you start off with the less extreme numbers like 2 and 3. Doesn't mean it will work. It could be 1 and 6, but more often than not, it's going to be the less extreme. So now I'm just going to start playing with numbers, okay? I'm going to put the 4 here and the 6 here. Now, the smiley faces really help here, and pencils are definitely important. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 times 6 is 12. Well, that's 0, so that doesn't work. So we're going to try, and this is just guessing and checking. This takes some time. I'm going to put the 6 here. Well, that's going to give me 18. And 2 times 4 is 8. If I subtract those, I get 10. So that did not work. So let's try 3 and 8. Put 3 here and 8 here. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 8 is 16. And 16 minus 9 is 7. Bingo. Didn't take us that long. Now, we want more positives, so this has to be positive and this has to be negative to give me positive 7. So if I follow this line, this is the positive, and if I follow this line, that's the negative. Now, sometimes it goes faster than others, sometimes it takes longer because it is guessing and checking. But remember, it's guessing and checking. It's not guessing and hoping or praying that it works out. You check and make sure the numbers work out. All right, let's try it again. So this is easier because it's just 1 and 3. There's no choices like the last one. And again, if you don't want to write these out, I just think it kind of helps. You see your possibilities. And we're again going to differ by 5. So I'm going to put 1x here and 3x here. And I'm just going to start. 3 and 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. I got it on the first try because 9 minus 4 is 5. But I don't want 5, I want negative 5. Which means the 9 has to be negative, this has to be positive to give me negative 5. So the negative 9, follow the line, comes from here, and the positive 4 comes from there. All right, here we go again. More practice. It's the way you get better at this, is just practicing it. All right, 1 and 4, 2 and 2. And then 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. That's it. So I'm going to start with the 2x and the 2x. May not work, but we'll see. All right, and we're going to put 4 here and 5 here. Now this time they're adding up to 21. All right, so 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. That adds to 18. That did not work. So I'm going to try switching them. 5 and 4. That's 10, and that's 8. Obviously, doesn't matter switching it because we have 2 and 2, right? So it won't make a difference switching. These are kind of nice because you don't have to, you kind of save time. So I'm going to put 10 here and 2 here. That gives me 20 and 2. That doesn't work. And I'm going to put 1 and 20. Well, 20 is going to give me 40, so that's way too big. So that tells me it's not 2x and 2x. It happens sometimes. So we're going to go back and try 1x and 4x. And now we're going to try the 4 and the 5 again. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 5 is 5. And that does give me 21. But this tells me they're the same. This tells me they're both negative. And that's it. All right, difference of squares review. When you have 2 perfect squares and subtraction in the middle, this is the easiest factoring we encounter in Algebra 2 and Algebra 1. It's very simple. You take the square root of the first term, the square root of the second term, you make one positive and one negative. And the reason there is no middle term is because if we multiply this, we get positive 5x minus 5x. The middle term drops out. And it's only when we have 2 terms, it's subtraction, and these are both perfect squares. All right, so that's going to give me x plus 7 and x minus 7. In this case here, still bigger numbers, but 4 and 121 are perfect squares. 2 and 11. So 2x, 2x, 1 plus, 1 minus. And then right here, 25 and 36 are perfect squares. So 5x, 5x, square root of 36, 1 positive, 1 negative, and that's it. Now, the greatest common factor. Always, we talked about this before, always try to take out the GCF whenever you can. Okay? So in this problem right here, they both have a 4 in them. 4 times 3 is 12, and they both have an x. So I'm going to take out a 4x and divide it out and write the 4x. Now here, let me tell you this. Here's a common thing people do when they do this. Don't do this. And they go, oh, the 4's cancel, the x cancels, and that just leaves me x minus 3. No. Because this is not the answer. Because x minus 3 is not the same thing. We need to write the GCF out here and divide. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. Negative 12 divided by 4 is 3, and the x's cancel. This is the answer. Okay? So don't do that division thing. That'll screw you up every time. All right. Factoring GCF out. So what goes into 15 and 5? 5. They also both have an x. So when I divide, I get 15 divided by 5 is 3, x minus 1. 5x divided by itself is 1. Right? Here, only thing you come out is a 3. That gives me x squared minus 9. But I'm not done yet. Because what do we have here? We have a difference of 2 perfect squares. So the 3 stays, and now I'm going to do what we just practiced. Square root of the first term, square root of the second term, 1 plus, 1 minus. Always see if you can keep going. All right, lots of stuff going on here. First, we're going to divide by 2. Again, we're not doing this. That's a no-no. So we're going to take a 2 out. That's going to give me x squared minus 17x plus 60. Now we're right back to what we just did today. We're going to guess and check. 2 numbers that multiply to give me 60 that add to 17. So if it helps, 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20. Now remember, 3 times 20 looks good, but that would only be if we were subtracting. If this was a negative, 3 and 20 would work. But they have to add to 17. And we don't have that yet. All right? 4 times 15, 5 times 12, and we've got it. Okay? 5 and 12. Now, remember, we want them to add to negative 17, means they're both negative. And again, a real quick check. 5x and 12x is 7, or negative 5x, negative 12x is negative 17x. Just a quick verify before you move on. All right. When we look at these, 9 comes up in our head, okay? But 9 doesn't go into 15. 6? Nope. 3? Yes. So I'm going to take a 3 out. So 3 goes into 36 12 times. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And 3 goes into 9 3 times. Now I need to break this down. Now I need 2 numbers that multiply give me 12. And 2 numbers that give me 3. Well, that's just 1 and 3. So this one, even though it looks nasty because it's 12, it's nice because 1 and 3, there's only one combination. So we can start there. Okay? So now we're looking at trying to make a difference of 5. Okay? So obviously I'm going to maybe want the smaller numbers. So I'm going to put 3 and 4 here. So that gives me 4x. This gives me 9x. And that gives me 5. Now remember, I want more negatives. So I want 4 minus 9. Where'd the 9 come from? Follow the line here. Positive there. Negative 9x plus 4x is negative 5x. And there we have it factored. All right, real quickly, I'm going to show you an alternative method to guessing and checking that, especially when these numbers get larger and more complicated here, all right, it goes a little bit faster. So what do you do? It's called the ABC method. This is A, this is B, this is C. And I have another video in this folder called Alternative Factoring Method, ABC, or something like that. So if this interests you, you can go watch that video just to learn it. I love it. It ends up being much faster in many circumstances. You wouldn't do this if this number was just 1, but when this gets bigger, it makes it a little bit easier. So up here, we're going to put A times C, and we're going to put B here. So 2 times 18 is 36, and we have 13 here. Now we're just looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 36 that add up to 13. Add to positive 13, so that's 9 and 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work backwards. If you think about when you FOIL, you combine the middle terms. We're going to separate this into 9x and 4x. Okay? So we have 2x squared plus 9x plus 4x plus 18. And then we're going to work backwards and factor this way. It's called by grouping, which we'll be learning soon anyway. So in this case, you take out whatever you can take out. Now in this case, it's just x. There's nothing for 2 and 9. So I get 2x plus 9. Plus, now I'm going to take this, I want to get the same parentheses here, 2x plus 9. They have to be the same. So what will give me that is if I take out a 2. And now all I do is hook these up, x plus 2, 2x plus 9, and there's my factored form. So often when this number is bigger than 1, this is a lot easier method if you want to learn it. So again, that was just a quick show. If you're interested in it, go watch that other video, practice some, go back in these notes and practice the ones we did with this method. It's up to you. Just an alternative.